Hello and welcome to Business Arena on TVP World. I'm your host, Marie Caso. Join me for the latest business headlines of the day. Recent developments in Seoul have sparked worries in Poland over the procurement of South Korean arms for the Polish armed forces. The government in Warsaw says the deliveries won't be affected, but other problems remain.
The fate of tanks like this one is not entirely certain in Poland. For now, Poland has been bolstering its defence capabilities by acquiring advanced military systems from South Korea. So far, the country has received multiple deliveries, including the 8th shipment of K2 tanks this year, enhancing the Polish armed forces' operational readiness. Now, due to the recent martial law announcement in South Korea and its subsequent lifting, concerns have emerged regarding potential issues that could affect this partnership.
If such an event could affect the Korean contracts, which South Korea has been striving to secure for the past few years to strengthen its defense and export presence in Europe, it would pose a serious threat, and credibility is crucial in this business.
The Polish government has acknowledged these challenges and emphasised the importance of ongoing dialogue with South Korean partners to ensure the smooth continuation of defence projects. Poland wants 1,000 K2 tanks, a platform comparable to the M1 Abrams, and has already acquired 180, alongside 218 K9 self-propelled howitzers, similar to the Panzerhaubitze 2000. Additionally, Warsaw has procured 322 chassis for the Krab self-propelled howitzer, hundreds of K4 automatic grenade launchers, and 400 Raycolt light armed vehicles. The Polish Air Force is set to enhance its capabilities with 48 Fa-50 light fighter jets, though these are less advanced than the F-16. Furthermore, Poland is acquiring 288 Chunmoo multiple launch rocket systems, comparable to the HIMARS, along with 23,000 missiles of various types for the platforms. However, there are challenges with the so-called Polonization of the K2 tanks, a process of adapting the tanks to meet specific requirements of the Polish army, to be carried out by the Polish defence industry. Reports suggest that this process is encountering obstacles.
The problem is that if we want the capability to produce these tanks, we need to invest resources. The Polish side hasn't fully decided who should foot the bill, the Ministry of Defense or the Ministry of State Assets. The cost of the tank after Polonization is so prohibitive that the Polish army won't pay for it.
Despite these hurdles, both Poland and South Korea express optimism about their defence cooperation. The partnership is seen as mutually beneficial, contributing to regional security and the modernisation of Poland's armed forces.
The European Union's green policies have lately drawn criticism from politicians on the back of a broader conversation about the future of the European industry and European competitiveness. Now, the extension of the European emissions trading scheme has come into the crosshairs of the Polish government.
This winter, more than 3 million houses in Poland will get their heat from a dirty source, like that. But soon the owners may find their heating bill even 50% higher than in the past. All thanks to a new scheme called ETS2, or Emissions Trading System Second Edition, which the Polish government wants to water down.
ETS2 will have a major impact on Poland, so it's not a surprise that the Polish government will try to, on the one hand, convince other EU countries to postpone the implementation of the ETS2 and maybe introduce also some changes into the regulation.
ETS2 is a sequel to the most successful tool in Europe's climate policy, the ETS1. You can think of it as a carbon tax. If you emit CO2, you have to pay. However, not everyone was subject to the scheme, as ETS1 covered only heavy industry and the energy sector. ETS2 rectifies that by adding construction, home heating systems and transport to the list. That's a problem because heating costs for homeowners will go up alongside fuel prices. According to some calculations, the price of diesel may rise by as much as 12 euro cents. The exact hike will depend on the price of the carbon allowance under ETS2, which has been set at 45 euro at the beginning. But some analysts say that could rise to over €200 as soon as 2030. That's why the Polish government has recently been very vocal about the ETS2. Watering down the mechanism will be the focus of the Polish presidency of the Council of the European Union.
Capping the price of the allowances, because now we have the cap at the level of €45, but actually there are discussions that maybe this cap should be tightened.
But politicians are not only worried about their constituents' wallets. After all, most of them are already paying for ETS because they use electricity or district heating. Many Polish officials are also worried because the ETS2 is supposed to go online in 2027, which will see parliamentary elections in Poland.
ETS2 is supposed to go online in 2027, and that's only 2 years from now. Is that enough time to cushion the blow to consumers and businesses? How can this be achieved, and can it be achieved at all? To get the full picture, stay with us for The Bottom Line, coming up right after the news. The energy transition in Poland is gaining speed with preliminary works on the country's first nuclear reactors and offshore wind farms. However, one major hurdle still remains: constraints on the onshore wind farms put in place by the previous government.
It looks like the fight with windmills is finally over. If all goes according to plan, the onshore wind construction in Poland will kick-start next year, following an amendment to the Wind Turbine Act discussed at the 20th Wind Energy Forum, which is to address the biggest hurdle. If all goes according to plan, the onshore wind construction in Poland will kick-start next year, following an amendment to the Wind Turbine Act, which is to address the biggest hurdle.
First of all, is going to be reducing the distance that wind turbines can be placed by buildings, and this distance will be reduced from 700 to 500 meters. This amendment should, one, increase the space available for wind turbines, and two, it should make the permitting process a little bit quicker.
While 200 meters may not seem a lot, this change increases the potential area for wind energy development by nearly 3/4. Almost 6% of Poland will be eligible for wind farm construction, as opposed to 3.4% under the current law. Opponents of the amendment say that because new wind turbines, which are much bigger and noisier than they used to, shouldn't be built closer to houses. Officials remind, however, that 500 meters is the minimum distance, and construction could be rejected if noise pollution is too high.
If there are objections here as to whether these two pillars, that is planning and environmental decision, are compatible with each other, well then the Architectonical and Construction Administration Authority may, for example, refuse to issue this construction permit.
The development stalemate began in 2016, but according to Łukasz Tomaszewski, the director of the Department of Renewables at the Polish Ministry of Climate and Environment, the reason was not only the introduction of the distance rule.
In 2016, a lot of projects were built, nearly 6 gigawatts. Then there was an investment gap. One system ended. We needed to catch up in terms of developing more projects.
Poland's onshore wind farms currently have a capacity only 3.5 gigawatts larger than what was available in 2016. The new bill is expected to double this number by the end of the decade.
And that's all for our business news updates today. For more business stories, check out tvpworld.com.